Hello. Hi. Ow! Oh, I broke myself. Hello, hi. 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 Welcome to IGAP. Oh, welcome to IGAP. Now, if you just give me a second, I have some stream things. Need to get my little view bots going. Yeah. Need to change that thumbnail here. Upload thumbnail. Yes. Yes. No, it's not made for kids. Screw this. Save. Welcome to IGAP. I got another project. The first official episode. Yeah. Okay, wait, do I need to update this on Twitch as well? I don't know. Let me get my little viewbot going. There's one viewbot. I want to manage. I've got 7 followers on Twitch already. The fuck? Edit. Crafts. None of this. Category. Art. Is there like a craft craft? But there isn't. What do I like? It's not just chatting. What the fuck? I don't know how to categorize this on Twitch. Fuck. I mean, just chatting, I guess. A DIY simulator? That might be. That's a game, but I'm like ERL DIY simulator, I guess. Yeah? Let's go DIY simulator. I think that's our best bet. Art stream. What if there isn't an art? Wait. Art. It's art. I'm in art. Yes. Art. Yes. Hello. Okay, done. 2 people on Twitch already. What? Hello. Hello. Welcome to IGAP. First official episode of IGAP. Also, guess who's at 100 subs? Yeah. Do you want to see my? This is very on theme, right? So, here's my beverage. Right. Here's my jacket. Right. This is not sponsored. Not sponsored, sadly. Maybe in the future. Yeah. And we also have the project. Whoa. So this is what we're doing tonight. Yeah. It's the first official episode. This is the one that's actually gonna stick. No previous ones exist. They are all gone in the ether. This is the first official one. Yeah. We will be crafting. And I have some videos that I want to watch. Once people join, I can maybe get input. Also not to watch. Oh yeah, I need to send in a Discord. I have a Discord. Links in the description. Let me grab the link. Yeah. Not there. Discord. Welcome, welcome, welcome every creature. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum. Yo! Yo! Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Low-key, we can get right into it. I think I have everything. I found my missing glue. Right. Found it. Let me put this beep up there. Let me pull. I'm always peachy. Always, but also I had 100 subs last night, so. Right. Let's put this here. I need to like arrange this. Yes. Second cam, still going, you know. Right. This is welcome to IGAP. I got another project. So we can see we're quite on theme. Ha 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 ha. Alright. Let me get. I'm gonna need to turn down my mic because I will be cutting metal, and I think that's quite ear rape. Quite ear rapey. So I'll be checking the audio. I'll lower it already here a bit. Yeah, ear rape warning, I think. I don't know. I'll try to be cutting away from the mic. That's all I can do. Cheers. Right, so this video got recommended to me not too long ago. Wow! Before I was going to bed. Right, when I was scrolling just on my phone. And I thought quite fitting for a first official episode, you know, of IGAP. Make something. Just make something. Right? I'm quite curious. Two little sessions. I started it. Then I did a bit more. And then I did a tiny bit more, but it's not a lot. Right? We have the back side to make. I already have this piece. Right? And we are making this piece. It's low-key not that much to be I think I might have enough cans. What fucking sucks, what sucks the most, right, is that these here in Poland, our cans, you know, have kaucja on them now. 50 groszy, kurwa. 50 groszy, right? So I'm money, I can't afford this, but art. Okay, let me just get some things going here. I have plenty of these. Okay, let me hold up. Do this and do this. Yeah, this. God, I'm actually just gonna take a photo of this for myself because I only have one monitor and I have to manage a little bit, quite a good amount of things here, right? But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. Then you might as well make it good. Make the best of what you have, yeah? Okay. Wait, that's one of my V-buds gone. Wait, I need to get my second V-bud going. I forgot. Make something. It makes something. Just make something, you know? Well, I've had English friends, right? I've had an English ex. I lived in Sweden. I'm Polish. I live in Poland now. In Sweden, you speak quite a lot of English, but I just had English mates as well. And also just being online, grew up online. English is like my main language. However, now having been living in Poland, my like Polish has majorly taken over, you know, my thinking. That's why it's been also nice kind of to stream and yap in English, because you know, you kind of do forget it. Like I'm fluent in English, but when I wasn't speaking for quite a while, I'd catch myself doing like, you know, stumbling over my words a bit, which I normally do, but a bit extra. Okay. Why would I be offended though? That's a bit silly. Okay.
Hi. I'm sitting in a dark void to give you a message. Make something.
Cool. Doing it.
Sorry, that might have been a bit too forward. Please, make something.
Let me know how the volume
Okay,
is.
I've done a lot of reflecting on what's important to me recently, and I realized that I really want to support and nurture creativity in the world somehow. Both creative industries and individuals are very important to me, and right now I've been seeing them suffer a bit. So this video is trying to be constructive with that negative energy and help by telling and hopefully motivating you how and why you should make something, because it's collective good for human mental health, culture, and God, even the economy. Genuinely, making things is just so helpful for just everything. All right, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I'm Cinecic. I'm an artist and animator, etc. I've worked in both TV and video games primarily. Now, I don't claim to be the most knowledgeable or best artist ever, but I do think I've had enough experience in the creative industry to be able to speak a bit on the impacts of creativity. And with my experience in mind, why I think you should make something. My hope is that by the end of this, you might come out inspired, understand the tool set to make creation easy, or at least create a path towards it that seems tangible, as well as understand why making something can positively impact the world.
I think creativity is one of the strongest human traits.
Film, music, literature, pottery, food, textiles.
Humanity is built upon creativity.
Intricate detailed
build on the backs of creative people.
Board games, product design, gardening, graphic design, 3D modeling, dance, programming, engineering, and so much more. All of these are made through creation, through skills and expressions. Every time something is created, it can make a new innovation.
Wait, what are you saying? The volume is higher on the mic than the video. That's because I have it. I don't have headphones right now. Oh wait, I know what I can do. Whoa, that I can do. Hold up.
Or creative ideology, or expand or hone existing.
Should have helped.
Think of all the different stories, cultures, music, food, inventions, visual arts, or even small icons and symbols that you enjoy. All of them were made by someone. Like, I know, no duh, but like they were made by someone. But that's the thing. It's the only way that more is made, by having people make them. Without someone to create, there is no creation. Creation is what makes everything human around us. The industries, the social events, language, literally everything we are. I know at this point I'm getting exhaustive with it, but it really is important for us to create. It's the only way that new jobs, new ideas, or things are made. When we go out there and
I'm 21. I work 2 jobs. I want to stream and create, and I have very big plans for the future.
We actually take a stride to make something. That's what makes the change. Sitting still.
Wishing the best for you as
can
well.
be, honestly,
Welcome
very
to
tempting
IGAP.
in a lot of cases.
Welcome.
And I do think a lot of us fall into stagnation, myself included. I've had many points where I've just been almost paralyzed by, be it fear or other creative things that are just not coming to me easily. But it's really important to try and find ways to break through them. With this in mind, I want to focus in and speak in particular to the unemployed creators out there. I know that jobs are becoming more and more scarce, and things are really tough right now economically in a large variety of industries. But I firmly believe that the creative fields and jobs of the world are only made when someone takes the initiative to innovate, experiment, and put themselves and their work out there. I do acknowledge that confidence can be hard sometimes, though. Many of us can be discouraged by failure or
Cheers, you guys want to see my sweater?
in our lives. One of the most difficult parts of creativity is that it leaves us very vulnerable, not only to how others perceive us, but to how we see ourselves.
Oh.
And because of that, failure can cut very deep, and it can be easy in those moments to tear yourself down. I will talk more on this later on, but for now, I just want to say, because I deeply believe it's worth reiterating, please be kind.
I don't know, it's been I've kind of hyperfixated on it recently.
It will benefit you in your life to do so.
Coffee is my favorite drink.
Many people have complexities and issues in their life that can make even the day-to-day so difficult. And I know those things can't be easily fixed in many cases. But with this in mind, I do want to acknowledge a certain author who was able to rise above difficulties in her situation. Now, firstly, I just want to give a little bit of credit where credit is due. Shouting out Matt with 4Ts, the comic and manga history YouTube channel. I learned about her and her story through his video, and he did an amazing analysis on her. I really recommend watching his video, and I'll have it in the description. To start, Emil Ferris worked as a toy modeler for McDonald's, making Happy Meal toys. But her life was drastically changed when she contracted West Nile virus at age 40, which paralyzed her from the waist down and damaged the control of her right hand.
What does that say? About West Nile. West Nile virus is most commonly spread through the bite of an infected mosquito. Symptoms include fever, headache, bodily aches, vomiting, diarrhea, or rash. Severe illness can affect the central nervous symptom and result in a hospitalization or death. No licensed vaccines or medicines are available to prevent or treat West Nile virus disease. West Nile in people. Cool.
This meant she couldn't sculpt anymore, and basically had to find a new way to live at a later stage of her life. I don't think I've ever had grape.
But even with
money issues and persistent health problems,
I like this one.
She was still motivated to be creative, and in her case, decided to make comics. Throughout her recovery, she spent a year redeveloping her drawing skills, and decided to return to school to restart her career path, working jobs while doing so.
Okay, we
During
can make
this
this work.
time, she continued to struggle with her illness, but learned to draw again, earned her BFA and MFA, and worked hard to make something and hopefully get her work published. Now, why I'm talking about Emil Ferris, outside of her being someone who had to work through both financial and health issues while supporting her family and other adversities, is because her book, My Favorite Thing is Monsters, isn't just a typical comic. It has this fantastical use of what feels like stream of consciousness art and creation, mixed with this really compelling underlying story within it. It's experimental and intriguing, with a narrative that pulls you in like you're on an investigation, reading someone's personal thoughts and gleaning the story through their reflections. Because of this, I can honestly see why she initially had trouble finding a publisher. It can be hard to sell something that leans towards the avant-garde, but she fought to get her vision published regardless, and rose against that rejection, eventually becoming renowned for her work once she found a publisher that recognized her vision. She had an idea, one outside of a more safe or neutered format, and she saw it through to the end.
Well,
In short,
so
I believe she respected her vision and her work. This is something that she wanted to make, and she worked hard with perseverance to do so. To me, her story is an admirable one, showing that someone later in their life, forced through illness and hardship, could redefine themselves and their work and make something amazing for the world to enjoy. Her story makes me believe that anyone with enough love, confidence, and attention towards their work can truly make it. To end off this section, I think she puts it best.
Right? Like, I bet you 30% of you have a dream that you only approach at night. And there's things you want to do in life that you're not sure you can do. But I'm here to tell you, not only can you, but I will come to your house and I will kill you if you don't.
Add fuel. Or get some kielbasa sausages. You know, good opportunity. I'd say marshmallows, but I personally don't like marshmallows. Too sweet. Sausage would be good. I want to go to a grill now, bro.
That's the funny part. I'm not.
Please check out Emile Ferris's books as well as her interviews if you can. I really recommend them. Starting something can be hard. I think the term empty canvas syndrome honestly applies to many things even outside of the visual arts. That's why I think many teachers say, just start, when instructing people on what to do. Because typically, we can very easily give a critical eye to something that already exists. Especially if something is made fast and crappy, it can give a starting point to then critique and improve. Now, this is a great way to start something.
Oh,
and if you ever feel that empty canvas
9/11,
syndrome feeling,
9/11,
I really
not a
do
thing in my
recommend
country.
just
Rip.
starting, just making something, because I think
Try
it does work.
112.
But I think there can be a more constructive way to starting something as well.
Or 999.
I personally
Maybe.
recommend research.
Ta-da.
Now, I think some people have an adverse reaction towards research when making something, voicing things like, I don't want to copy what someone else has done, or I need to be original. And I do get where those are coming from, and I don't want you to plagiarize, obviously, but I think it's also
taking inspiration from something is so important, right? And it's I think it's such an honor to like inspire someone, right? You created something that probably you got the inspiration from somewhere else, right? Could have been anything, and then it's just a continuous cycle, right? But of course, plagiarism
of what originality is. Now,
and if you use a lot of somebody's work, at least credit where credit's due.
State that this is an opinion. This is my opinion. So I'm
lame mentality
about this, but I believe everything is derivative of something. Artists learn from masters. Artists learn from nature. We understand symbols and ideologies from even how we grow up. Things important to us are learned. They may come from contemplation, love, or even hatred, but they come from somewhere. And in my opinion, it's worth respecting that. So think about what you want to make. Respect its history, and then impart your own touch. Find subjects you admire, and then try to imagine, if you could, how you'd make them better. Try combining your favorite parts of different things you love and make them into something that feels perfect and new to you. Research and reference can act like a support for your work, both making it easier as well as more accurate to what you're trying to create. Though, ironically, it's also important to not get overly obsessed with research. I think it can sometimes turn into a hole that seems close to infinitely deep, and it is important to recognize when it's worth beginning something instead of spending eons planning how to begin something. If you ever feel like you're researching or preparing needlessly extra over months or, even years out of fear of beginning something, then that's when it's worth taking the initiative and just starting. Sometimes it's worth taking the jump.
I kind of jumped into streaming now without any research. Well, back in like 2020, COVID times, right? So wee little youngling, right? I picked up streaming for a little bit, had a little hyperfixation for streaming, right? Did a bit of research then. And I still know the gist of it. But my alerts stopped working at all, by the way. I don't know why. They already weren't working yesterday. Yeah, I don't know what to do about that. I kind of don't have time. I just really wanted to start streaming. Like, I've been wanting to for a while. Fucking already, like, in February, I was planning on starting. Then it kind of slipped, and I thought, nah, screw it. Just start. That's all it takes. It just takes starting. And yeah, you have to keep up with it. That's not always easy. But I don't know what I'm yapping about. I've been streaming for 3 weeks. Soon it'll be a month in a couple of days. But
thing is
it
that
just takes starting.
Maybe reading a bit
Leap
on how
of
to
faith,
jump
yeah.
first, looking into the history of great jumpers, and reflecting on your form and intention both before and after doing so. Creating something and even the process of creation can be extremely rewarding.
I'm not that much of an artist, but I like to make trading cards. Oh, that's cool. I've wanted to. I've had ideas. Let's just say that. Yeah, not easy, but that's fun. That's fun.
Fulfillment of an idea is so satisfying, but it can also be an arduous process without proper planning. That's why I think it's worth considering the scope of your work. To boil it down, it's basically, are you making a large, expansive project, or are you making one that is smaller and something that is more bite-sized in its approach? Larger projects with impactful imagery or messages can be extremely appealing, and if you feel prepared and practiced enough, they can be more than worthwhile. But I also think there is something special about the small projects as well. They can lead to growth and understanding of the limitations of one's own abilities, and they can be just as valid as larger projects in many cases, with an impact that can be just as satisfying. So when we use smaller projects as a kind of practice and self-reflection, I do think that a lot can be gleaned from it. Making small projects can open up a variety of paths to adapt into larger ones. Or it can allow a low-risk way to test out different, possibly more experimental directions.
I was holding it the wrong way.
And if you dislike it in the end, allow you to move on with a bookend to that idea and not having wasted too much time. I also think when we experiment in this way, even if something is a failure in our eyes, we usually are able to come away with something that lengthens our perspectives. Something that allows us to adjust our focus or our creative process and make...
No, I was just holding it upside down.
Things we more thoroughly enjoy in the future. Alright, I'm reading my script right now, and I just realized I've gone on a massive tangent in this next section. But I think maybe it's entertaining, but it is on subject, and I think I do get my points across still. So, I'm just fair warning, I guess, before I get into it. So basically, I love adapting or changing something I dislike. When you adapt something that you feel is bad or imperfect, it can be a weirdly strong motivator to make something great. One of my favorite examples of this is the new Planet of the Apes prequels. Now, I know this seems ironic, since you're probably thinking, like, the old Planet of the Apes movie? Is this, like, adapting it into prequels? Isn't that movie really beloved and by, like, a lot of people in cinema history? And yeah, I'm not talking about adapting that movie. I'm talking about the original prequels. What a lot of people don't know was there was actually an original prequel trilogy to the Planet of the Apes movies. And they were awful. They were so bad. Weirdly, I feel like the mass production of bad sequels or prequels is seen as a new thing. But God, were people back in the day making the most wild and uninteresting sequels to so many different properties ad nauseum. And at the time, the original prequels felt like a byproduct of this exhaustive, hollow franchising. Anyways, cut to me as a kid. Netflix just came out. Not Netflix the streaming service, Netflix the DVD service. And my dad wanted me to watch a lot of old cinema in general. So we watched all of the Planet of the Apes movies when I was a kid. And I honestly really enjoyed the Universe of the Apes and even the crappy sequel a bit, but I hated the prequels so much. The series was already losing steam with the sequel movie, but the prequels felt convoluted and disinteresting, with weird time travel plots and paradoxes, and at its base felt extremely half-baked. So when I heard they were remaking these movies, I was extremely surprised. Now, let me just say, I'm not saying these newer movies are the best thing ever made, but God, sitting in that theater as a teenager, watching a movie that improved so much from its original was incredibly satisfying. I especially love Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which is the second movie, just to clarify. Yes, I know it's confusing because the naming conventions are so weird, but I kind of love that they just kept that same weird, extremely long naming convention that like the old ones did, because it's there's something weirdly satisfying about that. But anyway, I really do love Dawn. It kind of cemented this feeling of like, oh my god, this can actually be like really well executed, and a prequel can exist in this way. So, in reflecting of all of this, basically what I'm trying to say is that deep in my heart, I really hope that more remakes are made of crappy things, because I feel like so many studios and individuals are so focused on remaking things that are already fine as they are, when it could be so much more entertaining to remake something that can so clearly be improved. Almost all filmmakers talk about how when they start a film, it can be a bit disjointed and struggle in the storyboard or script, and it takes time for things to come together. So I think this kind of adaptation of something crappy can be seen as almost an expedition of this process. So after all this mild ranting, I want to wrap back around the scope. What I'm trying to say is, don't be afraid to make small crappy things. The more small projects you make, the stronger your technical skills, taste, and pipeline will become. You get better and faster over time because you are exercising that skill. Focusing on one big project can allow for refinement, but it can also hinder experimentation and growth if you start with something without proper experience or experimentation first, and you lose out on the possibility to expedite your technical and creative skills. But what I'm trying to say is make mistakes, try things out, reflect and adapt your work, because eventually you might make or discover something so great or so bad that it motivates you on an emotional level to make something truly amazing. Outside of just making something, there is also the factor of motivation and support. I do think confidence can get you a good amount of the way there creatively, but it's also important to have community and mental health resources to support you as well. To start,
I agree, but I have an obnoxious level of confidence.
I believe community is incredible in terms of supporting creativity. Being surrounded by supportive peers with like-minded goals and inspiration can be one of the best ways to grow and improve the things we make. It can create motivation and understanding, as well as connection and validation in what you do. An ideal community is supportive, friendly, and group motivating. Many creative fields also require collaboration to be done properly, so I very much recommend trying to find that kind of community to also build those kinds of skills. But I do need to add an additional note. One I believe is important, and I will say this will probably come off as a strong opinion, but this is also coming from my experience being part of creative communities and projects in the past. And I mean this in the kindest way that I can. But I think many of us need to work on our social and collaborative skills. I think it's common for creatives to develop some sort of an ego, usually due to the fact that we have to put a lot of who we are into our work, and by the end it can be hard to detach ourselves from it, which can sometimes make us arrogant or fragile. These traits can make it hard to work with others. And because it's so common, I do think it's good to check in and see how you operate as a person in a social setting. I also have personal experience with this, where at times I've been rude, defensive, and or mean in some group environments. It was something I didn't even know I was doing until a friend approached me to talk about it. And I was honestly grateful towards them for talking to me, as well as a bit embarrassed, because this was a reflection of my actions that I needed to have. I really didn't know I was making people feel that way. And because someone told me, I was able to work and be more considerate when I interacted with that group going forward. And things became
Just
more
give me one
positive
more minute,
between us
and this
because
will
of
be
that.
epic.
When I
It's
more
already
closely
epic.
acknowledge my actions, I felt a difference in social settings as a whole as well. Finding myself working better with people overall and having stronger connections and collaborative environments because of that. Nowadays,
I'm bored. Yes, it is. Go on. Go on, Voice Critical.
Well, well, well.
Well,
Would you
well,
look
well.
at that. You called me short, and you were right. But then you called me stupid, and you were right again.
Damn, who called
You
me
were
this?
wrong, however, when you called me crazy for sounding the alarm on the mind control that the TikTok zombies are falling victim to. Companies have found a way to get inside, worm their way into people's brains like that alien from Men in Black, Orion's belt pulling
Sorry,
the
I'm
levers on that
thinking.
dude's body. These corporations have found a way to control TikTok users' spending habits, to have them spend oodles of clams on actual landfill slop. Products that I know they couldn't move and were probably squatting on so much inventory, panicking, wondering what the fuck they're gonna do with it besides just bury it in a landfill somewhere. And then someone hatched the idea, probably after seeing the Labubu craze, what if we paid influencers to pretend to be hype about it? And this formula of companies sprinkling tiddlywinks of cash throughout a wide array of TikTokers' pockets in order to glaze and get people excited about literal garbage has proven to be a grand slam for these corporations that are peddling poop. It has sparked a fire that has become out of control, leading to a raging inferno of just brainless consume. Consume at all costs. Come hell or high water, go to Target and buy the thing.
Okay.
and then ready?
Pink. Fuck this shit. 3, 2, 1.
This is the latest one with the mystery
I
glitter
love
dumplings because
capitalism.
Capitalism!
Woo!
Gotcha element,
Woo!
blind box mystery element to it. People will go ballistic over it no matter what the fuck it is. Even something like this, which is just a absolutely terribly made squishy toy. In a lot of these videos, people will pick up their glitter dumpling and give it a squeeze to celebrate, which is the intended purpose. Instantly blows up like a fucking grenade in their hand. This is not a product that a sane society would ordinarily be going ballistic over. This would be something you'd see at like the checkout kiosk and be like, maybe I could use this as like a little fidget toy, or maybe my kid.
Okay, sure.
And it'd just be something real quick, real cheap. You throw it on the counter, you don't think about it, and it ends up in a closet for 20 years. But because companies have wisened up to the spending habits of TikTok, where they realized what everyone else with eyes has realized, that people will buy anything if they think it will help them get views or fit in with what's popular at the time. So the little trend starts, and this is not organic by any means, but the little trend starts where you open the glitter dumpling and you turn your head and you either get a boring static color like green, or you get the super rare, super exciting glittery dumpling. And brands obviously want to...
Sometimes I tell my mom I like communism to see how she reacts. I'm fairly certain capitalism is bad, but it's just our country's view, I guess. Well, we are living in like end stage capitalism right now, right? Yay! Yay! Our generation will never be able to afford housing! Yay!
The intensity of it, so if you get one of those commons, you gotta scream, You have to go crazy. No, it's terrible. You have to convince your toddlers to say, fuck this, or shit, damn, that kind of stuff. You gotta get them swearing because it's so intense. And if you get the glittery one, that's the best moment
I
of
need
your life.
pliers.
That's more
Markiplier?
important than marriage. Like, that is the biggest
Markiplier?
event that's ever happened.
Hello, everybody. My name is
And then
Welcome.
people see that, they're like, okay, I'll participate in this. I'll go out and get fucking 50 of them, a whole pallet like that one girl there with the glitter. You can see like an entire box, a case of glitter
This
dumplings
camera
as
is
she's
becoming
trying
too
to get
dark.
that pull for the
I
sake of
can't
the
really do
TikTok.
anything about that right now.
It's
I need a light
very
here.
clearly
Don't have that right now.
artificial. These companies
So-
have products like this, which is trash. And I imagine they've had it for a long time. This isn't a unique product. This is something that's existed since I was a kid. Back in the Stone Ages, you know, fucking 20 years ago. But back then, this was something you'd find at like an arcade where if you didn't get enough tickets to get the actual item you want, well, you'd get this and maybe a stick of gum. So these companies have squatted on shit like this for a long time, but they found a way to repackage it using TikTok influencers, spreading out money and making a trend out of it that has just gone bonkers for them. Just being able to hawk this, of all things, and people buy it and convince themselves that it was
Ow.
fun and a
Kurwa.
good purchase. The ones that are unpaid, by the way, the actual like paid promotions of this, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
is
I'm
obvious.
Gen Z. I'm 04. Also I agree. I think the standard of living in my spec on the map is 20k. Yeah. I think everywhere there's a cost of living crisis at this point. I don't think any country really for the average Joe, right? Cost of living crisis is very, very real. It's a struggle. It's a
It's
struggle.
fake. It is part of the brand deal, but it convinces
That is cool.
normal people to also participate as well
That is
in
cool.
order to get some views, participate in the trend, you know, feel included in it.
Oh, you know I'm gonna make such a TikTok with it.
Okay, ready?
Me when I get the galaxy. Bro. Well, this is the blade. It's in the title. It's the blade.
This is the future of products. Like, I'm saying that genuinely. Every
Please tell me you can hear that. Oh, they stopped. Te panienki. Du-du-du-du. Du-du-du-du-du-du. Du-du-du-du-du-du. Well, the whole sword is called the blade. Lady? Lady Y2K?
company
Then me,
is seeing
then me.
this and has been seeing it and is leaning into it, and it's working extremely well. If it can work for something like a
Whoa.
fucking terribly made squishy toy that blows up like half the time someone squishes it, it will work for anything. Again, this isn't some new toy or new invention only made possible in 2026. This has been around for decades, and it's something you couldn't give away for free. Nobody would want this. And everyone in these videos also most likely
need to
doesn't
get
actually
in
want
that.
it. They just want to
Ooh, I need to
participate
get
in
in
this
that
hype
bit.
train
Ooh,
around
I
it
got
of,
in
like,
that.
freaking out
Holding.
to get the good one or being real mad and
Holding.
real steamed
I'm
about
holding.
getting the bad ones.
This is some surgery type deal.
It's not something they're gonna use. Anyone that actually wants to use it probably can't even fucking find one at this point because it's selling so much to people on TikTok desperate for attention. But it's inevitably just going in the trash. And the people that are scalping it are also going to have their product inevitably end up in the trash.
Itchy.
It's a great time to be a landfill, I'll tell you what. Your tummy's never running on empty. It is constantly being filled gluttonously with shit like this. Because once the scalpers can't move this product anymore, when the trend starts to peter out, no one's going to be
Well,
buying it. At least
the
not.
blade is being forged, right? In the process of foraging. It'll be forged and then it'll be enchanted, right?
Anywhere close to how they were, so they'll end up having to dump it. And this is just another example of how easily companies can control people's spending. All you have to do is convince them that this is like a fun trend to hop aboard, and they're willing to open up their wallet for it, even for something as useless and stupid as fucking mystery dumpling. And this is far from an isolated case. In fact, I think there's an even better example, one that I covered recently, which is Neatos. Neatos are just colored shapes that are also just a little squishy fidget toy. There's nothing even gotcha-fied about it. The Neato you want, you get. You go to Target, they have the Neatos. It's not a blind box, it's not a mystery. There's not even a gotcha element. And yet, through the same means of just having some TikTok influencers hype it up like, Neatos, you gotta go get them, you need these in your life right now. You're a pussy, you're a loser, everyone hates you, you're ugly, you stink if you don't have Neatos. And through just like this hyping up of Neatos artificially, people then just started going out to Target and violently getting their hands on Neatos. I was covering brawls at Target over Neatos. People slitting each other's throats to get their hands on Neatos. And then scalpers found it. So then scalpers started flocking to it and getting pugilistic for Neatos. And now, Neatos have made oodles and oodles of cash, and they don't even have a gotcha element to it. So it's not even the mystery loot box element of it. It's just TikTok told me that this is hype and trendy, and well, I want to be part of this, so I'll go buy a bunch. It's that effect of like, you're not cool unless you pee your pants. You gotta go out there and you gotta get the thing TikTok's talking about. You gotta go get it. And it works super well. And interestingly enough, in most cases, it appears to be really garbage toys that are actually made for sense, that companies have likely been squatting on for years with no way, scratching their head trying to figure out, how do we get rid of all of this? And now they found the answer. They found the solution through TikTok and artificially hyping things up and get people in a spending frenzy for it. There are some good products, though, that I've seen come from TikTok. Like, I know TikTok Shop is notorious for a lot of trash, but I actually have seen some good products, and I am aware that there are some companies that do actually use it to promote something positive, like an actual useful item that is, like, solid. So I know it does exist, but that's not the biggest thing that TikTok sellers are being utilized for. It's for shit like Neatos and mystery dumplings. Again, mystery dumplings fully leans into this. Their branding now is the viral mystery dumpling. Like, this is something they have clearly planned for. It was a calculated marketing push through TikTok to get people brainwashed into buying. And it's going to continue. It's working really well, showing no signs of slowing down. Well, that's because
Vine was such a hit, and then Musical.ly was such a hit.
Neato adjacent and mystery dumpling adjacent and Labubu type products.
I don't need anybody telling me to be careful.
Anyway, just
I know what I'm doing.
That's about it. So yeah.
A bit of pain is beauty. Without the pain, there won't be beauty, and this applies even to art. I had this.
You wake up when your body is ready. No alarm,
no
schedule, no place you need
to be. Trigger warning.
Up, stretch, and ask yourself one question. What should I do today? For 99% of human history, this wasn't a hypothetical. This was every single morning for roughly 300,000 years. And the answer to that question looked nothing like the life you're living right now. Modern humans spend about 90,000 hours of their lives working. That's roughly 1/3 of your waking existence dedicated to a job. But for the overwhelming majority of human history, jobs didn't exist. There was no employment, no wages, no boss, no career ladder to climb. So what did people actually do all day? Let's start with what we know for certain. In 1963, archaeologist Richard Lee conducted a study that would change how we understand prehistoric life. He tracked the daily activities of the Dobeju Swansea people in Botswana, one of the few remaining groups still living in a way that resembles pre-agricultural human life. He found that adults spent about 2.5 days per week acquiring food. That's roughly 17 hours. The rest of the time, they did whatever they wanted. And here's the important part. This pattern shows up everywhere anthropologists look. The Hadza in Tanzania, the ache in Paraguay, the martu in Australia. Completely different environments, different continents. Same result, about 15 to 20 hours per week spent on survival activities. For context,
Ever heard of
you
Chaos
probably-
Galaxy TCG? That's a channel that got me into cars. He's been making... No, I don't think so. I'm putting it here. I'll look at it later.
We work twice that. Now, some of you are thinking, but those are modern people. How do we know ancient humans lived the same way? Fair question, and the answer comes from bones. When archaeologists compare skeletons of ancient humans to early agricultural populations, the difference is dramatic. Farmers were shorter. Their bones show signs of nutritional deficiency. Their teeth were riddled with cavities from grain-heavy diets. They had arthritis in their spines from repetitive labor, and they died younger. Ancient human skeletons, taller, stronger, healthier teeth, less joint damage. Their bones tell a clear story. They were doing less repetitive physical labor, not more. But the most fascinating evidence comes from something archaeologists found that shouldn't exist if survival was a constant struggle: art. In 1994, explorers discovered Chauvet Cave in southern France. Inside were paintings created roughly 30,000 years ago. Horses, lions, rhinoceroses, rendered with perspective, shading,
Go
and
in there,
movement.
bitch.
These weren't crude stick
Go on.
figures. This was sophisticated art that required skill, planning, and most importantly, time. Someone spent
Bones.
hours, maybe days, deep inside a cave by firelight, painting animals on a wall. Not
Yes.
for survival, not for food.
I think I
for
have.
meaning, for
I'm
something
pretty
to do.
sure I
In
have,
Grimbo's
yes.
cave in South Africa, archaeologists found 100,000
I think even
gold
on stream,
perforated
that's
shells.
somewhere.
Tiny holes
somewhere
drilled
there,
through
and I end up
seashells,
almost
clearly
having a-
meant to be strung
You guys read my
together as glue.
breakdown
The nearest coastline was 20
stream. I
kilometers
don't know.
away. Someone walked 40 kilometers round trip just to collect shells, then spent hours carefully drilling holes with stone tools. Just to look good, in 2008, researchers found a 40,000-year-old flute carved from a vulture bone in Germany. 5 finger holes, perfectly spaced. Whoever made this understood music. They understood pitch, and they spent significant
Yeah,
time
it's up
crafting.
there.
Not for
Same
hunting,
handle
but
everywhere.
for defense, for music. These aren't isolated finds. Across Europe, Africa, and Asia, archaeological sites from 100,000 years ago onward are filled with evidence of decorative objects. Carefully crafted tools far more elaborate than necessary for survival.
Yes, I do have
and items
Monster.
that required hours
I do
of
in fact
focused
have
work
Monster.
with no immediate practical benefit. This is what people did when they weren't securing food. They created. They decorated. They made things beautiful. So let's reconstruct a day. You wake up around dawn. The fire from last night is still smoldering. Someone adds wood. You eat leftover meat or fish from yesterday. Maybe some nuts or berries collected the day before. Breakfast is social. People talk. They plan loosely for the day. Not because they have to, because that's what humans do. Around mid-morning, a small group might leave to hunt or gather. But here's the key. You don't go every day. If the hunt was successful 2 days ago and food is stored, you might not leave camp at all. You might spend the morning working on tools, sharpening a spear, weaving a basket, scraping an animal hide to make it soft and usable. This isn't work in the modern sense. There's no clock, no supervisor. You do it because
Take me back!
competence matters.
Take me back to the hunter-gatherer times!
Because making
God!
is part of being human. If hunting happens, it's not the frantic chase you see.
Take me
in movies.
back!
Humans are
I
persistent.
feel it in my blood!
Track animals at
I feel the urge to hunt and gather!
We're the only species that can do this effectively because we can sweat and regulate our body temperature while running. Most animals can't. So we outlast them. The hunt might take 3 to 6 hours, including travel. Then the animal is carried back and butchered. Everyone eats. And by early afternoon, the productive part of the day is essentially over. What happens next is what modern people find hardest to understand. Nothing and everything. People rest. They sit in the shade and talk. They play with children. They groom each other, picking through hair, reinforcing
Okay.
bonds. They make jewelry from shells or beads or
I
animal
need-
teeth. They carve
I
designs
need a
into
couple
bones
bits
or
of tape.
stones. They nap. Anthropologist James
Yes,
Sussman
this is
documented that
electrical
among
tape.
the Juhuansi, adults spend roughly 6 hours per day in what he called social time. Not working, not sleeping, just being with
Whoa.
other people, talking, laughing, telling jokes. Because in a world without money or police or written contracts, your survival depends entirely on your relationships. If people don't like you, they don't have to share food when you're hungry. So you invest enormous amounts of time in those bonds. Not because it's productive, because it's how humans stay human. Then the sun sets, and this is when something remarkable happens. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wiesner analyzed hundreds of hours of conversation recordings from the Juhuansi. During the day, conversations were practical. Who saw animal tracks where? Which plants were ready for harvest? complaints about someone not sharing fairly. But at night around the fire, 81% of conversations shifted to stories. Myths about how the world began, tales of ancestors who did impossible things, jokes that made everyone laugh, adventures from far away. Weisner argued that this is where human culture was actually born. Gods, spirits, the past, the future. Things you can only think about when your stomach is full and you're safe. And people didn't go to sleep and stay asleep the way you do now. Historical records from medieval Europe and sleep studies from the 1990s confirmed that before artificial light, humans slept in 2 phases. First sleep for about 4 hours, then a wakeful period of 1 to 2 hours in complete darkness. Then second sleep for another 4 hours. So here's what a full day looked like. About 4 to 6 hours securing food or making tools. About 6 hours in social interaction, storytelling, grooming, playing. About 8 hours sleeping in 2 separate phases, and the rest resting, sitting, watching clouds, doing nothing in particular, existing without needing to justify your existence through productivity.
Okay,
Then,
hold
about
up, I can't see
10,000
myself.
years ago, something changed. Humans in the Fertile Crescent began planting
Hello.
seeds and domesticating animals. Agriculture.
Can you
And
see this
agriculture
clean
is a trend.
edge?
Once you start farming, you can feed more
Oh,
people. More people means more food. More
oh,
food means more farming. Within a few generations, populations exploded, and there was no
God,
food.
I'd be
Because now there were
such a good hunter-gatherer. My God, I was. I know I was. My bloodline. It's in my DNA. Like that's what I mean. Like, I want to go into a forest. It's calling me.
mouths to survive by hunting and gathering. You were locked in, and farming required far more labor. Plowing, planting, weeding, harvesting, storing, defending crops from animals and raiders. The skeletal evidence is unambiguous. Early farmers worked harder, ate worse, and died younger than the hunter-gatherers who came before them. But the population kept growing, and with larger populations came specialists, toolmakers, potters, weavers, inventors, then soldiers, priests, administrators, and eventually jobs, employment. The idea that your time belonged to someone else in exchange for resources. By the time we built cities, the original human lifestyle was gone, replaced by schedules, obligations, the need to work most of your waking hours just to survive
The
in the
fuck is
system you created.
knapping?
Today, you spend 90,000 hours working. Your
Napping.
ancestors spent way
What?
less. You sleep in one block
What's
and call waking
nap-
up at 2 a.m.
napping?
insomnia. They slept in 2 phases and used the middle hours for reflection. You spend your life chasing an illusion of greatness, achievements, wealth, and success by standards society invented.
I prefer
They
electrical
woke up every
tape.
morning already free, already enough, and at peace with nothing to prove to anyone. They didn't need to become successful. They were already living the life you're working your entire existence to retire into. You make art if you can find time after your job. They made art because they had time, and that's what humans do. We're not a different species, but we live so differently from how humans lived for 99% of our existence that we might as well be. We traded freedom for food security, leisure for population growth, time for productivity, and most of us have no idea what we gave up, because we never knew it was there.
Damn. Okay, let's see what the feed has to offer. Kind of hungry, NGO. Sure. Hello, everybody. Welcome to IGAP.
Real quick, before we start, you're going to have a number of questions while watching this video, and 9 times out of 10, the answer to that question is either going to be technically or money. So I'm just going to reuse this clip every time that comes up. So let's get into it. But again, remember, it's always technically or money. Hello. I'm wearing a lab coat that I stole from my sister, who's a nurse, which explains why it's one size too small. The reason I'm pretending to look scientifically qualified is because a few weeks ago, I set out to make a simple video about the history of reducing, reusing, and recycling. But the more reports I read, videos I watched, and read yarn I purchased, the more I realized...
Any preferred lunchtime foods in Poland? I'm not sure how similar or different food is in the US. Today I had pierogi. And I'm considering cooking some more pierogis. Because I have some frozen pierogis. My classical bread, pasta jajeczna, pasztet. I don't know.
this is a deeply complicated issue. But surely the title is clickbait. I mean, recycling obviously exists, right? Technically? But the reason it's such a mess is due to the very material that popularized recycling in the first place. Plastic. Plastic is so interesting for all the wrong reasons. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that plastic waste is a problem. But the way we got here, and the reason you view it the way you do, is the direct result of decades of misleading claims, unrealistic promises, and propaganda from big plastic. That's a real thing. I'm telling you right now, this one's gonna be a bummer. I've never liked chemistry because it's the one science you can't see, and because I have the reasoning ability of a 12-year-old boy, if I can't see a thing, I tend to believe
just
it's
hit
not
10
real. We all
p.m.
know that plastic is made from oil,
I don't know how
but
long I'm
none
gonna
of us
stream.
know how. Prior to writing this, I
I'm
couldn't
I'm
even
kind of
imagine how that works.
kind
As
of
far as I
trying to
understand,
sleep
when you
max.
extract oil from the ground and you refine it,
These
the
couple of
product that you're
days
looking
haven't
for
been
is
really
called
getting
methane.
good
It's
sleep.
the primary gas
So
that your stoves use. We burn it for like energy and stuff. It's really valuable. But one thing you get when trying to get methane is its less popular brother, ethane. And this is a byproduct of the process. Ethane is going to be there whether you like it or not. And for a while, that's just the way that ethane was seen. It's just one of the things that you get when you're digging up oil. But in the late 1800s, it was discovered that you could use it to make this weird substance. It was this white, waxy material discovered by German chemist Hans von Pechmann. His colleagues named it polymethylene, also known as polyethylene, also known as plastic. Now, this discovery was an accident, and at the time, there wasn't really much you could do with it commercially. But in 1933, British company Imperial Chemical Industries, great name, accidentally discovered a way to synthesize this industrially. And the result was a material unlike the world had ever seen. Polyethylene was everything you wanted it to be. It was strong, it was lightweight, it was flexible, it was heat resistant, and most importantly, it was cheap. It might not seem impressive today, but at the time, plastic was viewed like the material of the gods. It could be clear like glass, but it didn't break when you dropped it. It was lighter than metal, less flammable than wood, sturdier than paper. You could color it, make it look like any material you wanted. It was easier to clean, it was easier to transport. It was cheap, it was durable, and thanks to injection molding, it was easy to mass produce on a large...
Oh, trust me, I'm aware how important sleep is. Lack of sleep and pulling all-nighters and, you know, just abusing your sleep schedules has been shown to cause, like, what I'm trying to say, linked to Alzheimer's and dementia. Sleep is extremely important. Our brains, it's like the most important process our brain goes through, right? That's the healing, is the processing. You know, the amount of gears turning while you're going whip, 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 is crazy.
Material could be used for everything. And due to metal shortage in World War II, the manufacturing of plastic became really big in the 40s. And since it was already in production, when the war ended, there was an explosion of new plastic products to choose from.
That's what I'm saying. I've been trying to sleep max.
In a world of peace, the future will bring plastic fabrics, wondrously fine yet resistant to wear, wrinkles, and stains.
Saran wrap, squeeze bottles, Tupperware, shoes, dolls, garbage bag, plates, bras. People loved plastic, but manufacturers loved it even more. Why? Money. Remember, plastic comes from ethane, and ethane is really cheap. In fact, there's too much of it. Because if you're a fossil fuel company, you want methane. But if you're getting methane, you're also getting ethane. But it's not just that you don't want ethane. Nowadays, you literally have to find a way to get rid of it. You can't really mix it with the methane. You can't just release it out into the atmosphere. There's only so much of it you can legally burn. And if you don't find a way to get rid of this stuff, it becomes a big problem for production.
A lot of governments, including the US government, control how much you can flare. So it might be that you are producing so much ethane that you cannot flare it and you cannot send it down the pipeline, and if you can't sell it, you have to shut down the well. They hate shutting down the well. If there's still methane down there, if there's still oil down there, that's money in the ground. So it doesn't matter if you're making money on the ethane. You just need someone to take it away from you.
And plastic just makes sense. So from the 50s onwards, pretty much anything you could dream of was being made of the wonder material. The possibilities were endless. And the best part is that it would last forever, because plastics basically last forever. That will come up again later. I'm not here to say that all plastic is bad at all times. I'm going to appreciate that plastic does have a place in society. For example, before the invention of single-use plastic-filled diapers, children used to wear cloth diapers that were meant to be washed and reused. That's okay. We don't have to go back to that one. The problem is how much plastic is made. So what are we going to do with all this trash? I would love to answer that question, but I do have to do a commercial for a brand real quick. Can you just interrupt the video like that? Funny. Wow. Look at this totally normal meal for a couple.
Yeah, especially all-nighters. Now I've got a better reason to stop watching game tutorials until 10 p.m. I personally have a problem getting quality sleep, but sometimes extra sleep helps. What's the strip down the middle? A bit extra support, so it's not as wobbly. even though, you know, aluminium quite strong. It's good because it's a, you know, long shaft. Whoa. Like, see, there's no support here, and this is a floppy bit, but once I install something here, it's gonna stand erect or something. Couldn't find a better word.
Oh, shoot. I can't wait to eat this and then go about my day. That was me about 8 months ago. I noticed that anytime I ate a salty meal, I would get these crazy chest pains and my heart would start beating really fast. And I was totally panicked because I didn't know why it was happening. I thought I was dying. I can feel my heart pounding in my ears. And I kept putting off seeing somebody about it because I was scared to go to the doctor. But it got to a point where it was almost every meal, so I knew I couldn't deny it anymore. I had to go see a doctor as soon as possible, and that's why I used ZocDoc. Today's video is fun. If you want easy ways to find healthcare anywhere, it was in parks, roads, farmlands, lakes, rivers. Plastic also ends up in our oceans, which is bad because, as we all know, fish are dumb. And we'll confuse small pieces of plastic floating around as prey, and then they'll eat it. And then we'll eat it when we eat the fish. Did you know that the average...
Hey, do you like fish sticks? Do you like putting fish sticks in your mouth? What are you, a gay fish?
American eats about plastic every year. That's why I don't order seafood. It eats through my wallet. I'm doing great today. But the planet is a big place. I don't get why we can't just find somewhere to put it.
We have this one planet. We only have so many places that we could put our waste.
I can think of 3 different places we can put our trash right now.
We can't put it in the
That's
ocean.
cool. I wonder if I can
Sure,
make someone functional
obviously.
paper sword with enough support. Yeah, you can. This isn't my first sword that I made. God no. I've made a couple swords in my life. The most from Adventure Time, the Demon Blood sword and the Grass sword. But I don't have those anymore.
Mountain.
We can't?
They've even tried to put it into a volcano.
I didn't even think of that. We can't?
We have to come up with a better plan.
So we had way too much plastic trash. What could we do to fix the problem? Well, we could have cut down on plastic production, which would have solved the problem at the source. No, we're never going to do that. How about we come up with a slogan instead? If you grew up in America after the 80s, you probably grew up learning about the 3 R's. Especially in the 90s and the 2000s. Messaging about the benefits of reducing, reusing, and recycling was everywhere.
It's worth it.
It is worth it.
It was on posters, commercials, children's television. They made jingles about it. They talked about it in science class. Did you know that Schoolhouse Rock forced Mitchell Musso to make a De La Soul parody song about it? Obviously, I can't play the whole thing here because Disney will have my head on a pike, but I will play a snippet shortly. However, before I do, I would like to read the lyrics to the first verse because it's written like a conspiracy theorist that's trying to make a connection that simply isn't there. 3. It's a magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number. Because 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 6 is 18. And the 18th letter in the alphabet is R. We got 3 R's we're going to talk about today. Go listen to this song immediately after this video. I assure you, it sounds worse when you sing it. This song had to have been written in 45 seconds. Recycling ads made it seem like you were fighting for world peace every time you threw a bottle away. I'm being responsible. I'm basically a hero. We treat recycling as if everyone who does it is single-handedly preventing a plastic straw from ending up in a sea turtle.
Sorry.
Man. We won! But that slogan is written the way it is for a reason. It's written in order of importance. If you want to help the environment, by far the single best thing you can do is reduce the amount of trash you make. If you don't want the planet to be filled with waste, don't make the waste in the first place. Beyond that, the next best thing you can do is to reuse the waste that you create. And I'm not talking about that 5-minute crash reuse. I turn these bottle caps into jewelry. I'm not doing that. I'm a grown man. I don't just own a glue gun. It's kind of crazy how underrated.
Got a problem with glue gun. Glue guns are the most OP fucking tools to have in a household, and I will die on that hill. I love my glue gun. Give me your glue.
That reusing things.
I love my glue gun. But I need a new one. This one's broken.
And every people have always
but it works.
Everything they can.
So in thinking
she's a bit roughed up, but she works.
Favorite material to use was bronze, and the reason that we only have a few of these, they got melted down to make implements of war. Egyptian kings would wait for previous monuments to maybe fall into a little bit of disrepair, and they would knock them down, and they would use those pieces to build their own monuments.
Wow.
Sometimes the Romans would take their sculptures and they would recarve them into the sculptures of later emperors.
If you grew up in a melanated household, then you know that just because a container that used to hold food is now empty, it does not mean its life is over. I'll be the first to admit this. I used to be embarrassed when we'd have people over and I'd have to explain to them that we used the empty Greek yogurt containers from Costco as cups. Well, I wasn't embarrassed at first. It wasn't until somebody who wasn't in my family came to my home, saw what was happening, explained to me that their family doesn't do this, that it immediately clicked, yeah, of course nobody else does this. This looks weird. But looking back, objectively, it shouldn't be viewed as weird because we used that container 50 times longer than it was intended to be used. We saved them from going into a landfill prematurely. That is, of course, until I put it in the microwave and it became immediately unusable because, of course, it was. It was a Greek yogurt plastic container. It can't handle that heat. But sometimes, despite your best efforts, you end up with plastic that you just don't know what else to do with. Then, and only then, is when the last R comes in. Recycle. The idea that some company or organization could take your trash and turn it into anything your heart desires. It's the most magical of the three R's. Magical in the sense that it's not real. That isn't to say recycling doesn't work for anything. There are actually a number of materials that recycle rather well. Aluminum, for example, is considered infinitely recyclable, meaning you can recycle it over and over and over again and it won't break down in quality. In fact, of all aluminum that has ever been produced, 75% of it is still in circulation today. Now you compare that to plastic that actually breaks down every time you recycle it. And of all the plastic that's ever been produced, 70% of it has been discarded. In fact, generous estimates say that only 10% of all plastic has ever been recycled once, and only 1% ever gets recycled twice. I think the main thing that makes recycling super difficult is that it doesn't arrive at the facility in perfect condition, organized by color and material. It comes in one gray blob, and there is almost surely animal and or human feces in the mix. And even the stuff that isn't fecal matter, a good portion of those materials shouldn't be in that pile. Recycling rules get so confusing because, first of all, you need to know what type of plastic it is because not all plastics can even be recycled. Second, did you know you have to clean the plastic before you put it in the bin? Some packaging materials, even if it has the recycling symbol on the front, some recycling plants can't accept. And I would love to sit here and tell you all the ins and outs of what can and can't be recycled. I really wanted to make it work. I come up with a bit where I was going to get a scroll and be like, hear ye, hear ye. I can't do that because recycling rules change everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's a new set of instructions. The ones in my area are different from the ones in your area and the next guy's area and the next guy after that. And despite all that effort, most plastics just end up in a landfill or being burned in an incinerator. So how did we come up with such an ineffective system?
I've never used a glue gun myself, but I've done origami. Origami's fun. But I tried for single sheet items or items with interlocking pieces. What's the glue's attack pattern? It's hot. It's hot and it's like plasticky. It can be molded, but it's hot. Attack pattern, it's hot. It goes.
Well, to understand that, you're gonna have to... So you're pretending you're this businessman from the 50s and you work in the plastic industry and your entire job is just to make money. You know, one of the reasons life sucks now is because you can't own anything anymore because everything is a subscription. Sure, I can make some money selling you something once. I can make more money if I sold it to you once a month for the rest of your life. But how am I going to get you to buy more plastic? I just spent all this money advertising how durable it is and how it basically lasts forever. People know you don't need any more plastic. What am I supposed to... What if I just told you the opposite? Imagine you're in a room with the most boring old white men that you can think of, and then the main old white guy is in the center, and he's like, okay guys, if we want to make money, we have to convince the public to throw away the plastic. And everybody was like, what's this guy talking about? And the main guy is still up front, he's all like, you guys, listen! Glass and metal are expensive and heavy and breakable, but plastic is made of oil, so obviously it costs basically nothing. And then one guy raises his hand and he's like, wait, I thought oil was basically like black gold and every country on earth is fighting for it literally all the time. And the main guy's like, shut up, it's not important. Nobody knows how both seem to true. This is just the way the world works. It's light, it's cheap, and we have more than enough to sell. If we can just convince them to throw away the plastic stuff they already have, I promise you, we will all make so much money. And remember, that's your job. That scenario wasn't really an exaggeration. At a 1956 annual conference for the plastics industry, Lloyd Stouffer, an editor of the Trade magazine, literally told plastic executives their future is in the trash can. But there was a problem. This was the 50s. These people lived through the Great Depression, where they used dresser drawers as baby cribs, and they made the most insane recipes with any any food they can find. You know that one guy on TikTok from 3 years ago who used to make all those recipes from the 30s? That was depression food, not the feeling, the time period. Although you may confuse it to be the same thing because they couldn't afford fruit, so when they made apple pies, it wasn't with apples, it was with crackers and water. This era of Americans was not used to the idea that you buy something, use it one time, and immediately get another one. That would be like if I invited you over for dinner and we were eating off glass plates, and at the end of the night you asked me if I want you to put your plate in the sink, and I just told you, nah, just throw it away. What are you talking about? And again, you were just telling the public how plastic is basically indestructible. So why would they just want to get rid of it? So the plastic industry had to make new ads that were basically like, okay, forget everything we just said about plastic, okay? It's not that great.
It's not cutting me, it's poking.
So after you use it, just throw it out, okay? If you eat off of it,
Pointy.
if you drink out of it, if you look at it too hard, just throw it out. It's fine. But isn't that kind of wasteful? Come on, man. All the cool kids are doing it.
For decades, Americans had a make it do or do without mentality. Our new throwaway culture fell in love with single-use plastics and didn't worry about the consequences.
Being disposable, they're not empty.
No, there's just very many sharp points. It's just pointy.
So people started throwing stuff away.
Point.
Everywhere. It was
Point.
too much stuff. Littering was now becoming
Point.
a bigger problem following the rise of
Point.
single-use plastics. Which
Point.
combined with other environmental concerns led to one of the
Pointy.
biggest environmental movements in modern history.
This is a CBS News special. Earth Day.
A day set aside for a nationwide outpouring of mankind seeking its own survival.
April 22nd, 1970 was its first Earth Day. A time for people with some of the most confusing pieces of attire and hairstyles that
Oh, good
humans
one.
had ever seen up to that point in their history gathered together to discuss issues hurting the environment. And of the many issues, one of the issues on the docket was plastic waste. In fact, you start to hear
bless.
talk that maybe plastic should be banned altogether. But again, you're a businessman in the plastics industry. If your product gets banned, you can't make any more money. That's your one job. You're blowing this. But you, as a businessman, maybe you take a second to realize maybe enough's enough. Your decisions have negatively impacted the planet. You've made more money than you could ever hope to spend in your lifetime. Maybe it's time that the plastics industry goes to rest. You retire. Maybe spend more time with your wife and the kids. Maybe this is a good thing after all. Maybe it's time to call it quits and let the packaging industry go back to its more sustainable practices. I'm kidding. It's time to plot. What do we do every time we need the public to change their opinion immediately for our own benefit? Advertising.
Well. Rip sound.
First off, this man is Italian. Secondly, although this ad may look like it was paid for by some environmental activist group, it was actually produced by Keep America Beautiful, an organization started by the packaging industry, like Coca-Cola and Dixie Cups. You know, the people who made the trash. The point of this ad wasn't to stop litter. It was to make it abundantly clear that this littering thing, that's your fault. But aren't you guys the ones that got an entire generation of Americans to start acting like this in the first place? Don't change the subject. You made that Italian man in an almost surely offensive garb cry. Look at what you did. That's a great first step. But if you really want the people to get off your back,
Do you guys
about a
like when
problem,
you
you have
set
to promise them
this
a solution. Give them something to believe
Polska
in.
góra.
And so essentially what happened
Polska
was
góra.
the equivalent of, I'm sorry guys, it's getting out of hand. The city's gonna have to ban the plastic. No, wait. Okay, we'll fix it. Jeez.
A growing backlash was threatening the future of plastic.
So it was up to us in the plastics industry to solve this problem so that they could continue to package their products in plastic.
To appease government officials, the industry funded a local recycling pilot project.
The industry attitude was, we'll set this up and get it going, but if the public wants it, they are going to have to pay for it.
So they invested millions into bringing recycling into the mainstream. But could that even work technically? The process of turning used plastic into new plastic is physically possible. The issue is when you have to do it with millions of pounds of plastic. Could this system work at scale? Technically, no.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Sweden buys garbage, like waste, from Norway, because Sweden has quite a big like recycling economy. Right? Fun fact. I think at least. Speaking of plastic, ever heard of Trash Island? Yes, I have. Yes, of course I have. The big fucking trash patch in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, of course. It's fucking horrible. Fucking. Hold up. Yeah. Trash Island in the Pacific. Yeah. Yeah, 1.6 square kilometers, twice the size of Texas. Like, crazy. Like, heartbreaking, honestly. What a time to be born into, to be alive.
From the Center for Climate Integrity, internal plastic industry documents from the late 60s and early 70s gave a sterling recommendation of the recycling process. Using faith-strengthening words such as costly, we have serious doubt that it can ever be made viable on an economic basis, and virtually hopeless. The plastics industry knew from the very beginning this was never gonna work, and they did it anyway. Why? Money. Here's the thing. It doesn't actually need to work. It just needs to look like it works. If it'll get the hippies to shut up, sure, we can paint some
How
trash cans,
dare
put
you.
some arrows on it, and maybe blow a few mill, building some recycling centers, and we'll run a few ads about it. Is it gonna cost us? Yeah, but I mean, it's a lot cheaper than having our entire industry banned or coming up with a solution that would actually work. If someone can prove me wrong, I would welcome you to do so in the comment section. But as far as I can tell, the entire idea of recycling is basically just theater, and you can see it everywhere. For example, a lot of people think that all plastics are recyclable, but they're not. Some types of plastics, no matter what you do, can never be recycled, but you wouldn't know just by looking at it. That wasn't until, out of the kindness of their hearts, a lobbying and trade group known as the Society of the Plastics Industry, a loving organization with a not at all nefarious sounding name, proposed a solution to identify which plastics can and can't be recycled. Okay, we've heard there's been a little bit of confusion as to what you can put in the bin, so today we're proposing a new symbol that we're going to put on all the plastic products so everybody knows exactly what can and can't be recycled. Okay, that actually sounds pretty good. No, that's not cool. No! Is there a problem, sir? That looks exactly like the recycling symbol. How dare you? My work is completely original. It's in a triangle shape. I didn't know anybody could own a shape. It has a chasing arrows. My arrows are slimmer. Yeah, but if you squint and look at them both, they pretty much look exactly. Yeah, but mine has numbers in it. You notice that, Einstein? You're so good at pointing things out. You notice that? You know they look the same. Why would you make them look exactly the same? Money. This is the resin identification code. It was invented by Society of the Plastics Industry in 1988. On paper, its purpose is to identify what kind of plastic
Say hi to her for me, will you? Thanks.
thing is made out of. Each type getting a different number.
She's probably waiting for a response from me. Sorry, I haven't been on my phone really.
You know, there are 7 RIC numbers, and pretty much only 1 and 2 are widely considered recyclable. But if you didn't know that, because why would you just casually know that? Wouldn't you just assume that this means that the thing is recyclable, and you put it in the bin, and you think recycling is working?
We're so cooked.
40 states to get the RIC symbol to look like this. As long as you think it's working, it doesn't matter if it actually is. That's the whole name of the game. But why, though? What specifically about recycling is so impossible to get right? Fun fact, when you look up Society of the Plastics Industry on YouTube, one of the first search results is a promo they just released called Recycling is Real. Is it though? Because there's no way she flew a plane. Do you see my point? Like, you hear what I'm saying? Helen can't do either, and you mean to tell me she was navigating the skies? Random question. Would you say you have a decent idea of how a toilet works? I feel like most people would say yes. It's a toilet. You know, you push a thing, water comes out, seems pretty simple. Okay, cool. Here are all the parts. Here's the toilet. I saw somebody say this as a good example of showing that people don't really know how most things work. Even things that seem relatively simple. You put all the pieces in front of them, the average person doesn't understand how a lot of things work. With that being said, do you feel you have a good idea of how recycling works? I'll be honest, I thought you just melted it and then shaped it again, but the process has like 17,000 steps. Because you can't just put all the plastics into one big vat and melt it down. They all have different properties and different melting temperatures. If you did that, you would just end up with a bunch of useless goop. So first you have to create recycling centers and a recycling program for a given area. Then you need to inform the people about what can and cannot go into their recycling bin, which is pretty much a useless step because no matter what you do, people are going to put anything they want in the bin.
Very surprised what people think is recyclable.
You name it, eventually it'll be found in it.
A pool table.
Big propane tanks.
Needles. A neck brace.
We've had guns, ammunition, fireworks, sparklers.
I would a live snake.
After you pick it up, you have to do your best
That's
to separate
horrible.
the non-recyclables from the
Jesus
rest of the mix.
Christ.
You have to clean them and treat them and process them. All of that just to get recycled plastic, a material that is less durable and more expensive than virgin plastic. From an economic and practical standpoint, this process makes almost no sense. And you can sit there and say, it shouldn't matter, we should do this for the good of the planet. Unless you're gonna do it or you're gonna fork up the cash to get somebody else to, it's not getting done. As Vidyamani said when speaking about just the separation process, unless someone's paying for it, the plastics go into the landfill. So you may be wondering, surely there was a point
We're
in
so
time
cooked.
when recycling kind of worked at least a little bit? Technically, yes. Seeing the monstrous problem before them, the best and brightest American minds of that generation came up with a solution that, at least from an economic standpoint, was viable. Describing it with the
107
gravitas
subs.
it deserves. It was the
My
equivalent
alerts don't
of-
work, sadly.
Shh, it's okay. You're okay. We just gave all our trash to China. I'm sorry, how does this work? It's simple. We pick up the recyclables, put them on trucks, bring them to recycling centers. They'll organize them, crush them, turn them into bricks. We'll put those bricks onto different trucks, drive them to the coast, sell them to the Chinese, and then load them on the cargo ships. And once the ships reach China, they'll take the bricks, give them to low-wage workers to organize them and turn them into new stuff. And when it's all said and done, for every dollar we spend on this process, we will earn $1.01, which is more money than when we started. Okay. And that's how recycling worked in America for over 25 years. But it wasn't just the US. According to NPR, 70% of the world's plastic waste was being sent to China. And China was getting a slight profit out of this, but that profit was being outweighed by all the other indirect costs that came with this recycling program. Because we never actually solved the problem of littering and handling the trash properly. We just gave the problem to a different country.
These sorting facilities in China would often illegally dump the portion of the plastics that even they couldn't profitably recover, creating an environmental problem that the government had to pay to clean up.
Martin Borque, I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, executive director of the Ecology Center in Berkeley, California, once put a tracker in a bale of waste sent to China just to see what would happen to it. And when it touched mainland and they got in contact with the locals that were near where the tracker was placed, they found that it was just littered. On top of that, remember how people will recycle anything, including hazardous materials? Well, it turns out that those materials were causing hazard to the Chinese workers who were sorting them. After a while, the Chinese government must have reasoned to itself, maybe destroying our country's lakes and giving people occasional anthrax poisoning isn't worth $17 of profit. So they banned the import of pretty much all plastic waste in 2018 with no warning. To which the waste management industry calmly responded, what am I supposed to do with all this? Once China stopped taking it, we didn't have many options on where to put it. Imagine you were taking your trash out for the week and the garbage man just said, no! And then
That's cool.
away. You then
I don't know if I can be fucked to make more tonight. I'm honestly really tired.
That's exactly what we've done
I want to sleep soon.
I really tried to verify this stat, and I could be wrong, but as far as I know, when you recycle something, most of the time, it just ends up in a landfill or in an incinerator. Because there's just no money to do anything else with it. And I would love to sit here and say there is a solution and that they're working on something that's gonna work in the next few years. But as far as I know, right now, at this current moment, this is all recycling is. Almost every solution I read about when researching this video is either going to hurt the environment more or it's going to cost way too much money. Even when something says it's made of recycled plastics, I'm pretty sure in most cases it just ends up looking something like this. So you promise that when I put a plastic bottle in the bin, you turn it into another plastic bottle just like new? Absolutely. In fact, I have one right here. That is not the same thing. I'm doing the best I can! Downcycling is when a recycled product isn't as good quality as when it was first made. For example, a food-grade plastic that gets recycled is no longer good enough quality for food packaging, and so it becomes part of like a plastic bench or something. Okay, but I saw a TikTok of a mad scientist fellow who was turning plastic into fuel. Why can't they just do that? Technically, as far as I know, that process is called pyrolysis, and it is possible. Because, like, plastic is made from oil, so couldn't you do some science stuff to maybe turn it back into oil? I don't get it, but it is scientifically possible. So why don't they do it? According to the TikTok comment section of that video, it's because the CEO of Exxon will personally 360 no-scope this guy if he ever goes to market. That's not why. Then why not? Money. Again, could you build a toilet? At scale, the process of pyrolysis costs way too much economically and environmentally. As far as doing it for plastics, at least, it just doesn't make much sense. Besides that, the process of this and other forms of advanced recycling generates a lot of hazardous waste. According to the NRDC, they once observed that an advanced recycling plant, also known as a chemical recycling plant, created almost 500,000 pounds of hazardous waste in 2019 alone. In addition, these plants produce air pollution, which poses a health risk to nearby neighborhoods. Neighborhoods that tend to be made of low-income, non-white people. As a result, these neighborhoods lose even more of their value, and due to the health risk that comes with being so close to one of these facilities, it turns these areas into what ProPublica described as sacrifice zones. And on top of that, a lot of these advanced recycling plants just end up burning the plastic. However, none of that will stop the plastics industry from saying they're doing it. Because again, it barely matters that it's not working. As long as people think it could, they're not going to get mad at us.
Innovation in American plastics means reducing, reusing, and
manufacturing. Sorry.
So you recycle.
Well, yeah, we manufacture recycled plastic. It's how we stay competitive.
And it's better for the environment.
And it's better for business.
How?
It's the way of the future. The U.S. has to keep up.
First off, this ad was made by America's plastic makers, and on their website, they will tell you that they are part of the plastics division of the American Chemistry Council and their member companies, which include Chevron, Dow, Exxon, and Shell. The companies that make the oil that make the plastic. Secondly, he never answered her question. Am I the only one that peeped that?
And it's better for the environment.
And it's better for business. In the future.
I've seen this ad a billion times, and I've noticed that detail every single time. Like, that was
That's
the question she was
crazy.
asking, and I just ignored it and talked about the business of it. Am I insane? That's what just happened.
Now you get it.
Recycling yesterday's plastic because it was made to be more.
It's not, though. It's made to be one thing, one time for 30 seconds, and then spend the next 1,000 years polluting a river in Taiwan. And I think all these ads and messaging and borderline propaganda just serves to confuse people on what's actually happening with their trash, i.e., the propaganda is working. Laura Liebrook, a manager of a recycling plant in Oregon, explained that when she tries to tell people that recycling doesn't work, they don't want to believe her. Because the truth is, we need recycling. Not because it fixes any problem, it's because it removes this guilt. It's kind of like when you get those ads for children's cancer hospitals and you can't skip it because you have to wait 5 seconds. So before you can, you try not to make eye contact with the sick child in the video. It's kind of like that. We don't want to be confronted with the fact that American consumption is disgusting. We need something to believe. It's a reason to feel that we're not
Overall,
just on the planet.
the overconsumption
It doesn't have to actually work.
in our
I just
time.
need to believe that I'm doing something so I can sleep at night. Like, just put the bottle in the blue bin.
Me when I think about future.
Sit somewhere for the next
Me when I think about the environment burning.
look at it. It's almost as if it doesn't exist anymore. Don't take that from me.
Recycling, it's one of those things where not only does the public kind of depend on that emotionally to relinquish their, guilt about buying things, but it has been kept alive by the manufacturers.
Ultimately, though, anytime we spend placing the blame solely on the individual is when the propaganda has fully accomplished its work. Yes, American consumption is killing us, but who sold the poison? Corporations are the ones that invested in plastic. Corporations are the ones that convinced Americans to buy more plastic than they could ever need. Corporations are the ones that blamed consumers for a littering problem that they created. Corporations are the ones that pushed and promoted a solution they knew would never work. And corporations are the ones that paint themselves as the heroes and innovators solving a crisis that they created while ultimately not coming up with any scalable solutions, all the while creating more
Welcome to IGAP.
plastic. Lisa Ramsden
IGAP,
of Greenpeace
sorry.
USA says the plastics industry intends to
I'm also celebrating 100 subs, but I'm sleepy. I'm going to sleep soon.
The takeaway from this discussion isn't that we shouldn't be doing what we can. We should all
But
still be
first
reducing,
official
reusing,
episode,
and then when all
so-
else fails, recycling. Because a bad solution
Welcome
is
back.
better than no solution. But the real takeaway is this: no matter what any company, ad campaign, children's media, catchy jingle, or industry group tries to tell you, this conversation isn't just solely about how much you love the planet. This
Not
whole
much. We're still
conversation
equally
has
as
always
cooked.
been about money. And although it technically exists, and I'm by no means an expert, I'm pretty sure recycling isn't real.
Plastics take their rightful place in a world of peace.
Anyway, we're cooked. Love. Oh. Okay. I believe I will be ending stream now. I am tired and want to sleep. I've got work the entire day tomorrow. Oops, mic is a bit too close. Move, bitch. But thank you for joining. I am streaming. I'm trying to stream every day around 9-10 p.m. Polska time. I've been consistent. I've been at it, so thank you for 100 subs on YouTube. The road to 250 soon. Come on. We can do it. I think tomorrow I will be doing a repot and slop. I think so, because I need to repot some of my plants. You're still go to sleep, bro. Go to sleep. I'm going to sleep. Yeah, I need to repot some of my plants. Like, it's time. And I got some more pots. So, I think tomorrow, yeah. Repot and slop. So, another new series. Well, technically, I have a very beginner stream on my channel of that. But, I think official one will be tomorrow. I all of my plants get at least weekly head pats, Anyway, good night. What is it? Alright, good night to you all. I'll see you tomorrow.